Well, hello, darkness, my old friend, and welcome to this intoxicating digital labyrinth we like to call the internet. Get me the hell out of here. For those who have been a part of this cult for a while, you'll know that I typically cover a wide variety of wholesome, feel-good flicks for the average consumer. Well, today, folks, we're going to talk about something a little harder, weirder, more existential, confusing, you might say, and ultimately heartless. With that in mind, viewer discretion. Today's video is about Vivarium. I'm going to need some fucking counseling by the end of this one. Vivarium is a surreal science fiction, psychological, cosmic horror nightmare movie that premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in 2019 and has since garnered a mixed to fairly negative reception for being a complete and utter disgrace to humanity. A monstrosity, a waste of time, predictable, frustrating, mean-spirited, tedious, monotonous, repetitive, boring, pointless, dull, tired pain. But you know what? They're right. I mean, why would Lorcan Finnegan do this to us? Why would he make such a nihilistic, dreadful experience that is completely devoid of true value or meaning? Was it all just to trick those pseudo-intellectual, pretentious, sadistic freaks like myself into believing it was something profound? I don't know. We must get to the bottom of this very strange case. I need to stop having so much fun in these videos. Lorcan Finnegan's sophomore feature Vivarium is a fascinating little thing. It tells the story of a young couple, Gemma and Tom, who are searching for a new place to live. They meet an eccentric, perhaps slightly sketchy real estate agent named Martin, who takes them to a blissful, utopian, flawless suburban town called Yonder. Everything is uniform, picturesque, similar to a children's pop-up book. It's that live-action Cat in the Hat fever dream all over again. Great. All the houses are identical and uninteresting. The sky is clear, vibrant blue, involving basic cloud-shaped clouds that lack creativity or originality in their form. During the day, the sun is always shining, yet the grass is alive and well, and there's no drought. And just as you begin to wonder when sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows is gonna start blasting, Martin takes them inside unit number 9, which is all made up and furnished. It comes with the basics, such as the lamp occupied next to another lamp, a painting of the very room you are currently already in. And we can't forget about living rooms.
The living room. A room to live in.
Classic. He asks if the two have children, as this home is not just a starter, it's a forever home for young couples ready to invest in the forever. Gemma says no, not yet, and then Martin sarcastically mimics her.
No, not yet.
Before taking them around back and then vanishing, never to return, for now. Ooh, spooky. You quickly realize that no one is living nearby, but presumably several houses are being looked at and new residents are allegedly moving in soon. Gemma and Tom aren't really feeling it though. At first it was, let's see how this sales pitch goes, more as a joke. Things seem slightly unusual, but still, we'll play along and see where it goes. However, after noticing that Martin is nowhere to be seen and his car is no longer parked out front, Gemma and Tom decide, right, time to go. So they jump in their car and drive off, to discover that, for one, they have no phone coverage to watch my latest video, darn. And second, they're in a perpetual loop stuck in an infinite gigantic labyrinth, always winding up back at house number 9, a number that symbolizes the cycle that they have found themselves in, based on its shape. You know, you start off on a direct path, only to end in a circle, depending on how you draw it. Consequently, Tom and Gemma are unable to escape, spending the whole day driving around, trying multiple directions, yet by the end of the day, their efforts are rendered useless. They are out of gas for doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
There's nobody here.
If I see another row of greenhouses, I'm gonna lose my mind. This shit is not possible, okay? It's just not possible. We can't make turns like this over and over. This way and then the other way, and come back.
The next day, the two explore for any sign of fellow humans, just anything out of the ordinary. And the good news is they do, in fact, find an active house with a light on, though it turns out to be house number 9. Gemma spots a box conveniently placed on the side of the road, packed full of canned and vacuum-sealed foods. And you know what? It sounds wonderful, right? What a deal. However, none of the food here has any flavor or taste, no nutritional benefit. It's mass artificially produced by whatever left them here. Tom then gets the idea to set fire to the house using said box to send a smoke signal, and still nothing. Come morning, the house is intact. They're trapped in this new life that has been dumped onto them without consent. Speaking of which, the next day, a baby is delivered, accompanied by directions reading, "Raise the child and be released." It's that simple. But not, actually, as he grows at a significantly faster rate. It's been barely 100 days and he's like 7. They grow up so fast.
Am I bigger today?
Yes, you're bigger today.
I grow fast as a dog.
Gemma is better equipped to handle children, cause in the opening, we learn that she's a school teacher, though she understandably doesn't accept the term mother.
Are you overwhelmed again, Mother?
I am not your mother.
They both succumb to the stresses that come from these responsibilities. My interpretation watching this for the first time was that he was fully aware of Yonder as a simulated world, and Tom and Gemma's responsibilities to live up to be successful parental figures, to potentially be set free if they fulfill that role, was self-aware and willingly making them more frustrated and overwhelmed, and in turn, us, the viewers, frustrated and overwhelmed. This too is conveyed in the pacing slowing down and steadily losing steam compared to the energetic and upbeat first half. Similar to The Town, the movie is also deceptive, as if we're trapped with these characters beginning to feel the weight and pressures of everything, testing its audience to see if they're willing to struggle through monotonous boredom alongside the main characters in this vivarium, to be studied and observed like little creatures, a horrifically elevated The Truman Show or Dark City. Even if there's an emerging underlying expectation for the worst outcome possible, disappointment. But who knows, really? As he grows up, he doesn't have a comprehensive understanding of the outside world and other diverse communities or lifestyles, is only aware of what Gemma and Tom mention in their conversations, and mimics body language or their behaviors to conform to this understanding of a conventional human life, or understand what it means to be human in a conventional way. Since there are no schools, neighbors, friends, just other people around to develop broader social skills. For instance, he has to use his own imagination to grasp what a dog is.
What are you, dog?
We already told you what a dog is.
Woof, woof, woof.
Yes, woof, 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 woof.
Woof, 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 woof.
It's reflecting the fears and anxieties of a highly sheltered upbringing, and then casually starts to showcase the dull, repetitive fleetingness of a average routine life. What a bummer. Interestingly, the movie was initially released in 2019, but was officially widely released in March of 2020, where you could stream it in your house, where you were trapped and gradually losing your mind. Probably the worst thing you could unknowingly choose to watch during that time, when we were all dreading and panicking that our lives might not have any substantial meaning, and we were never going to have genuine interactions ever again. All these seemingly mundane things we took for granted and never truly soaked in or appreciated until they were no longer in our possession or general proximity. The film takes that concept and elevates it to the extreme. And yet, we haven't even gotten to the end. As circumstances escalate, the anti-natalist theme becomes especially evident, and perhaps don't watch it if you're a parent or a human being. Kind of sort of in the vein of Eraserhead, however, an entirely different approach and style. So things keep going, the boy will occasionally stay up watching Fox News. While Tom and Gemma's relationship begins straining as Tom distances himself, attempting to dig them out of the situation they are stuck in, break through this dimension or wherever they are. At one point, there's a brief stop motion effect, and I wish it was utilized more. Eventually, Tom reaches the conclusion that, well, the child isn't technically human, let's just kill it. And on a moralistic level, this is where you either tap out or yell, finally. It's really dabbling in ethical relativity. I wonder why people didn't like this movie. They lock him in the car, thinking if anything, someone might show up and save him and subsequently them in the process. Again, like, food is being delivered, but by who? Though before long, Gemma feels guilty and releases him. To be fair, who knows if killing the child is even a feasible option? I mean, look at how inconsequential their previous efforts have been. Who's to say the cycle wouldn't restart or he wouldn't respawn? Following this incident, Tom goes back to digging, and over time Gemma notices the boy wandering off and gets suspicious, wondering if he knows more about this fabricated world and its perfections. Once he returns with a book containing numerous odd symbols and diagrams. In an effort to solve this great mystery, she tries various mind games on him.
Do you see that other cloud?
Yes?
What's that cloud in the shape of?
A cloud?
Yes, another cloud-shaped cloud. All the clouds here are shaped like clouds. Perfect. Sickening. Little clouds.
One of these involves him imitating everyone he has met. First Gemma,
Whatever.
and then Tom, and even his famous dog impression. We all love that one. Gemma is pleased until he mimics the final person, individual, and starts, To make matters surprisingly worse, because that's possible, Tom appears to be getting ill, spending all day and night out digging, being exposed to and breathing in this unnatural environment for longer periods. Several months, weeks, days pass, and the boy has grown to resemble an adult, is still questioning the true nature of his parents' motives and how sincere they're being, if they're merely carrying on pretending to care due to fear, to which Gemma hesitantly agrees. In the next scene, she has a heart-to-heart with Tom, both completely restless and fatigued, asking why she didn't let him kill this being when he was young, and Tom responds with,
Because you're a good person.
"Oh, I'm sorry. You thought the movie was going to get better? No, it only gets worse. It's miserable. Will it ever end?" Well, whenever the boy, or the man, whatever, goes on his daily strolls through the neighborhood, Gemma follows him to see what he might be doing, who he might be talking to. After a bit, she begins to experience a panic attack. Everything around her has become dark and foggy as she calls out to Tom from ground control. We're subjected to all these claustrophobic tight shots spinning around, blurring in and out of focus with eerie ambient sounds all around us. It's absolutely nauseating. Meanwhile, Tom discovers a corpse in the hole. And yeah, that can't be good. Just look at Poltergeist. Fun fact, those skeletons were real. I'm sure you already knew that. Moving on. Tom proceeds to yell out to Gemma, and once they reunite, Tom collapses and Gemma connects him, while Alien Dude goes to get some medicine, supposedly. The two reminisce on the life they had previous to entering yonder, how lovely the wind was. Again, the simple, unexciting things we take for granted and never really notice. It's a sentimental moment as he dies. Patrick Bateman returns home with a box full of a body bag that he then uses to seal Tom's body in before tossing him into the grave that he's conveniently been digging for himself, unwittingly this whole time. And since Bateman has already locked them out of the house, now Gemma is all alone in this giant maze with her thoughts solely, total silence, complete isolation. What a nightmare. She ultimately determines the only option left is to kill Barry Nile over here. However, this is proven fruitless when he crawls on all fours, chirping and hissing, before lifting up part of the sidewalk to reveal a multi-layered tunnel leading to countless parallel worlds stacked on top of each other, and crawls in. Gemma follows suit, and we see multiple other couples trying to raise little Patrick Batemans. All are either in distress or have fallen into a severe state of depression isolation that they've resorted to desperate measures. Again, not only just because of the kid, but also because they're trapped in a world all alone. And this all makes it clear that Tom and Gemma are certainly not the first participants to be held captive in this operation. Again, the worst thing that you could pop on to watch in 2020. Gemma pierces through these various realities until stumbling back to number 9. Home sweet... never mind. We cut to Patrick Bateman cleaning the house, tidying up, removing all markings of a prior family, prepping it for the next go-around. Paints over all the memories of days past. Gemma then submits to her fate as a mother whose kids have grown and been prepped for the world. Her role, her duty has been met, so it's time to die. And her child buries her. Cool? Great.
All we wanted was a home.
Silly mother. You are home.
This movie is fired up. Bateman's like, what a day, before driving off and leaving yonder. It was that easy. We cut back to the real estate guy from the beginning who has aged significantly and hands over his name badge to the new Martin, who proceeds to vacuum seal him up, and in a funny games fashion, the film ends with him preparing the next couple for hell. Roll credits. Vivarium is interesting. It feels like a feature-length episode of The Twilight Zone with a similar concept to Time by Pink Floyd, where your fleeting life is encapsulated into a 7-minute song, in this case, an hour and 30 minutes. You could even compare it to Once in a Lifetime by Talking Heads, where you're having a giant existential crisis processing where you currently are and asking how you got to this place. With this automobile, this partner, this house, quietly letting the days go by, realizing it's the same as it ever was. It's tapping into a fear of this unfortunate reality that many understandably want to reject the possibility of, and may not always be the case, although it is a situation that many tend to find themselves in now, and especially back in the olden times, when life expectancy was lower, and so the incentive was higher to figure your life out at 20 or younger, and raise a family before you die at 45, where you're expected to move out, marry young, settle down, and have kids, and that's what it's all about. That's your main purpose. That's your identity. It's traditional, it's established, it's what you do, so do it, please. You'll feel better, trust me. Listen to my sales pitch. Bring more humans into this world of pain and suffering. For many, later in life, this leads to a regret over the choices you made and the things that you sacrificed, all to raise this child and be a financially stable nuclear family. Often, and as seen in Vivarium, this can manifest into a resentment that you sacrificed all this time, and was it truly worth it? Is this really the person I wanted to be, the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with? Who I once loved when I was 18? For this movie, it presents a young couple who start out with all these dreams of the future, quickly coerced into a lifestyle that backs them into this position they want out, are longing for more time to find an identity separate from mother or father, have this individual autonomy. Gemma and Tom grow apart because they find their aspirations are conflicting. It sucks for kids who felt like a burden and parents who signed up for a life they never wanted but felt like they had to conform to, reliving a reflection of something you connect with on a much deeper level. And that's why this film sucks to watch for a lot of people. Now yes, in this case, the child isn't a literal human. It's more of an outer disguise, a science fiction metaphor. Instead, this Martin species is a humanoid brood parasite. In the opening scene, which I purposefully skipped over as it comes off a little heavy-handed as quite obvious foreshadowing the entire plot. Yeah, I wish this element was a little more subtle. It's essentially applying the cuckoo bird method of raising their young to the human condition. The cuckoo lay their eggs in a nest of a different species to trick them into raising their young, like foster parents sort of. When they hatch, they kick the other baby chicks out of the nest until they're all alone. In addition, they imitate the begging calls of the host's chicks, and the mother will continue feeding until the cuckoo has grown. brood parasitism seems to serve as the main metaphor that drives the plot and explains why the movie ends the way that it does. That's nature, that's just the way things are for this species. Vivarium is also based on a short film that Lorcan Finnegan made in 2011 called Foxes, because it was about foxes reclaiming nature. Apart from that, the concept is pretty much the same. The idea was originally conceived from the many ghost estates in Ireland.
There was lots of houses left empty.
Banks were giving out 100% mortgages to people who buy these places that are totally overvalued in the middle of nowhere and end up trapped there financially, emotionally, existentially.
There's something about living in a desolate rural area with tons of empty houses that were left unfinished and abandoned that gives off this unsettling, eerie, if not anxiety-inducing feeling often associated with liminal spaces. Places that should be occupied and perhaps once were buzzing with life in a bygone era, but are now devoid of any natural earthly concerns. They leave you in a state of uncertainty that these locations have lost a sense of meaning or purpose, left sitting in stagnation, stripped of natural life. Unlike a vivarium, yonder isn't a stable environment, at least for humans. Everything about it is intentionally ambiguous so that you could, in theory, discuss your interpretations for hours by applying more thought to it than even the filmmakers intended. This is why explain videos like this one are a bit frivolous, aren't concrete, and are totally subjective. I recommend watching and experiencing Vivarium for yourself along with anything else I've covered on this channel. Maybe not Where the Dead Go to Die though, because you might take away something different that resonates with you on a personal level, or maybe not. It's still way more valuable than me simply coming on here and being like, it's a good movie, or it's a bad movie, whatever that means. Critics like it, so it's a bad movie. You should feel one way or the other. Like I'm supposed to validate how much people liked or hated a movie. Can it just be fine? Decent? Okay. Worth a watch. Is that not acceptable or exciting in the current year that it is? Honestly, Vivarium, not fun to watch. It pissed me off. I give it a 10 out of 10, or maybe more like a 6, or an 8. Who cares? In conclusion, life is very dumb and weird, and so are movies. So go watch some dumb, f***ed up, weird movies.
Get more out of life. See a fucked up movie.
And then let me know what you think in the comments below. Have a great day or night. Oh wait, also consider hitting the thumbs up button, the subscribe button, the bell button, and the self-destruct button. If you love buttons, I'm sure there's also a button for that too as well, or maybe there should be. I don't know. I'm gonna stop now. Thank you for watching this strange content I make for some reason. I'll see you in like a month or so. Take care, and that's all. Goodbye.